Howdy Punchers, Craig Sillivan here. We're talking local music on this episode of Punch, and I spent over a decade writing for publications about local music. All that music journalism culminated in me writing a book that came out in 2013 called Exile Off Main St, Random Dispatches from the Saskatoon Music Scene. Myself and about 20 other writers and musicians each wrote about our experiences in local music and about some of the bands from the Northern Pikes to Pork Sword. In thinking about how the book came about, I thought about the people in our lives that support our creative endeavors. It can make all the difference. During the writing of Exile, I had support from friends, family, and my wife, but there was one person in particular that pushed me to make the book a reality. And without him, Exile Off Main St might never have been finished. His name was Wes Funk. He was also a writer. Sadly, he's no longer with us. I first met Wes after I read his 2008 book, Dead Rock Stars. I had a show on CKOM, and I invited Wes on to talk about the book. When he got to the radio station, I was holding my Clash coffee mug, and he was carrying his Clash record bag. We were instantly friends. Of course, around that time, I had decided I wanted to write a book about local music. Partially to have a book with my name on it on my shelf, but also as a time capsule. I hope some kid would find a beat-up copy in an attic somewhere in 30 years and uncover a treasure trove of stories about Saskatoon and our music. I thought it would come together pretty quickly, but I had a lot of other creative projects on the go, so the work ended up being pretty slow going. This is where Wes came in. Back then, a lot of prairie fiction was pretty stuffy and tired. Many publishers would turn their noses up at genre fiction and modern ideas. It was all stories about grain elevators or white male professors having midlife crises. But Dead Rock Stars was the story of a young gay man from Saskatchewan who travels back to his small town after his father dies. I love the book. Wes was a gay man, and he was telling a type of story that was relatively unheard of in mainstream Saskatchewan at the time. Diverse stories are more abundant now because, thankfully, society has changed. But back then, it was a rare window into growing up gay on the prairie. Now, before I published Exile Off Main St, Wes wanted me on his Shaw show, Lit Happens. I said to Wes, "The book's not even done. Why would you want me on?" He didn't care. He also had me do a reading of my unfinished project at the release party for his book Cherry Blossoms in 2012. Now, I don't know if he had a plan in mind, but by making me talk publicly about the book so much, it ensured that I had to finish it or I'd look stupid. Here's us talking about the book on Lit Happens.
When you can squeak in a little bit of your own time, you are working on your own project.
That is true. I'm writing a book about the Saskatchewan music scene. And I want it to be really cool and not like sort of dry and historical, but it'll be sort of part memoir because obviously I grew up in the music industry and scene in on the prairies. So sort of part memoir, part theory, questions that you and I have talked about before, like, is the fact that we're blanketed by winter 8 or 9 months of the year, does that affect how our bands sound, or is it an incubator for better music than you might hear in Toronto? How's the size and our geographical isolation, how does that affect our scene, you know what I mean, stuff like that. And then, a little bit of history in there. Who are the Northern Pikes, who are Pork Sword.
Well, and I think it's just terrific that you're writing this book. And I've actually had the same idea for this sort of a book over the years because Saskatchewan has had a broad impact on the whole world's music scene, right from the days of Joni Mitchell to this explosive thing that's happening with the Sheepdogs right now. And I think it needs to be documented and needs to be put out there for the people to read.
Well, first of all, don't steal my idea.
No,
it's mine now. I call it. Second of all, though, I think
after this, I realized I'd have to cut some other creative projects and hunker down. I finished the book within about 6 months. It was released, Wes wrote the foreword, and the book became a local bestseller. However, on October 9th, 2015, my friend Wes Funk passed away. I miss him. He was a boisterous, lovable man who made a positive impression on everyone. He wrote about a real, modern Saskatchewan, and I'm still taking cues from him with my new book, Nothing You Do Matters, by throwing the snobby old prairie lit tropes out the window. I wish Wes could have read it. He would have loved it. Find the people in your orbit who matter, who encourage you, who build you up. Find those people and stick to them like glue. They will help you be your best self creatively and otherwise. And support your loved ones too. And if you want to learn more about local music prior to 2013, or you just want to read some modern prairie lit, you can pick up Exile Off Main St, Dead Rock Stars, Nothing You Do Matters, and Wes's other books where great books are sold. I'm Craig Sillivan for Punch TV. Go on, get creating.